Welcome to the Lead Pedal Podcast with your host, Bruce Outridge, where he talks all things trucking. Now let's get rolling.
How's everybody doing today? Welcome to another edition of the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the LMIA program, which is the labor market impact assessment is what it is. It's used to bring temporary workers into the country. It's part 3 of our series that we're talking about this week with immigrant workers. So I know that you're going to want to take a look at this. Hey, before we get started, let's talk about a company that not only welcomes workers to the program, but they're one of the most safest fleets in the industry right now. That's Bison Transport. Right now, they're looking for owner-operators for their program. So if you're an owner-operator and you would like to be successful for 2026, they have they can help you save on fuel. They can help you save on maintenance, tires. They have a great support system for owner-operators and letting you be successful doing what you do. They've got other opportunities as well, but right now they're looking for owner-operators in a number of their terminals. So the best way to find out exactly what's available is go to bisondriving.com, and you can find all the career opportunities there for driving and non-driving positions as well. You never know what's available. All right, let's get into our topic for today.
Be sure to share the podcast on your favorite social media channels.
All right, so today we're talking about abuse with the labor market impact assessment program. So this is a program that is used to bring temporary workers into the country. It's used a lot for, especially in the farming industry, where they're bringing temporary workers on a regular basis to help work with the crops. It's been used in the trucking industry successfully by a number of people to bring workers in from other countries to drive for them. It's been used in trucking for quite a long time. The problem is that it is very limited. They kind of open up a number of spots. Companies are optional. Companies do not have to use it. So some companies are looking for that kind of thing, depending on, I know on the East Coast, there's some companies that have used it quite successfully. Harder to get people on the East Coast that are to work there. So, but it can also be abusive. So it's a good program. It's needed. In fact, here's what it says on the Canada website for Employment and Social Development Canada. It says that it's showing an employer needs a foreign worker because no Canadian can do the job. That's probably the biggest thing. Now, you're probably saying, you're trying to tell me there's not a Canadian truck driver? Well, there is. And again, the conversation goes a number of different ways. Some people say, oh, there's a driver shortage, so we need to get them. Others say there's not a driver shortage. There's just a number of unqualified drivers. There's a lot of drivers like myself that on paper show that we're truck drivers, but in reality, I haven't driven for 20 years. So where we are, a positive labor market impact assessment is essential for temporary foreign workers to get a work permit. So they kind of need to be brought in. It requires the employer to prove the business's legitimacy and recruitment efforts with different rules for high wage, low wage, and specialized roles in different provinces. Now, this happens all the time. This is happening all across North America. I know from my father, when he was living here, he's immigrated from Guyana to Canada, got all of his licenses and all of that stuff. He was an accountant for his career. And he went to the United States for about 5 years because they were able to, through basically the same type of program, but for professionals, he was on a list where they need accountants, and so he went and he lived in Dallas, Texas for 5 years, and then decided to come back for health issue because of health issues. But he was there for that. So basically, that's the same type of system. It's a way of bringing in workers for different areas of the industries, of all industries, so that they can make sure that they've got a good flow of people. Right now, I think they're doing the same thing. They're probably not calling it the same thing, but it's happening for doctors because they're trying to get doctors here in Ontario. So So what the employer has to do, here's the process for employer. They have to assess the needs. So they got to determine, do they really need that for the position? Is there nobody else in Canada that can do this? Then they recruit. So they advertise a job and trying to find a Canadian or a permanent resident to do it. And if they can't find that, then they apply for the LMIA application, proving that the business is legitimate and they need recruitment. And then if they get the decision, and basically the decision's either positive or negative. Yes, you can go and look outside of the country for a worker, or no, there's enough people in Canada, keep looking. That's basically how it works. So there's different types of programs as well. There's the high wage one, so wage at above the provincial tutorial medium. There's low wage LMIAs. There's one facilitated for Quebec. And then there's unnamed for employers who haven't identified a specific worker. It's valid for 6 months. So what do the workers need to do? So what do you as a driver need to do if you're listening to this outside the company? Well, you need to have a job offer and a letter or a contract. A copy of the LMIA number, so you would get a special number once it's been approved, and then you would apply for a work permit through Immigration, Refugees, and Citizenship Canada. So those are the three things. So this is why we get a lot of people, especially here on the podcast, I get a lot of comments of people going, hey, Bruce, can you get me hired onto that company? I can't. And a lot of companies have decided not to use this program. There's a lot of able bodies right here in Canada, especially with some of the immigration flow we've had over the last few years. There's quite a few people here. Whether they decide to be truck drivers or not is a whole other thing. But there is some things there. So there's a lot of things that it's a way of bringing people into the country, and it's legitimate. It's a legitimate way if it's not abused. But where do the abuse comes in? Well, if you're thinking of a truck driver and you're outside of the country and you want to come to Canada, somebody might be charging you. So if someone's charging you to use the program, they call it a placement fee. Then that's bad. If you have to be loyal to that company, so once you come into Canada, you cannot go to any other company for a certain amount of time or do any of that. You're dependent on that company, and that company is supposed to make sure they take care of you. This is the other thing; they have to kind of set you up with a place to live and all that kind of stuff. So it's not that easy of just, hey, come to Ontario and get on the bus and go see what's going on. It's not like that. You have to do some things. And then, of course, there's always threat of deportation or being terminated. And that's real world for a lot of people. We've got then there's the second part of this, which is the wage suppression and the market damage, right? So if they're paying below market wages, it means they're either making more money, they're cutting rates, and again, that's bringing down the whole industry as a whole. Maybe they're blocking mobility between employers, so you cannot move to another company in the same industry, even if they're not doing things right. Or they're artificially pretending that there's a labor shortage so they can get more LMIAs. This is a really big problem. And one of the reasons that we suggest that you have, if you're a legitimate company, that you have audits done on your system to make sure that you are not abusing the system or it's not looking like you are abusing the system. Our friends over at Compliance Mentors, they do that. They do it on the compliance and the safety side, and they can help you make sure that your company is compliant and safe and not kind of missing any issues or any areas that might get you into trouble. So you want to check them out at compliancementors.com. All right, so now let's look at the human cost. What is the human cost for drivers? So some drivers have to live in their trucks, right? They have to provide a place for you to live, but if they just keep you on the road forever, then your truck is now your home. Most trucks have beds and all that anyway, but you're now living in your truck. Is that what you were planning on when you came to Canada? Excessive unpaid wait times, you don't know what they're supposed to pay you for, so they're paying you whenever they feel. And we already have a problem in the industry as far as unpaid wait times. I could tell you a carrier that's bringing in a lot of immigrants and not doing things right is not going to tell you that you are paid for waiting. So you're going to get you're going to spend a lot of time waiting around and not being paid. Unsafe driving. This is probably the biggest thing. You're pressured to get to your destination. You don't understand the highways. You don't understand what you're doing. You're tired, and this is where we have a lot of accidents. And we've been having a lot of incidents, and we've been seeing people do things that you're not supposed to do in a truck. People passing on highway curves in the mountains with only one lane of traffic and those kind of things. Like, we're seeing some real things. And then, of course, just the mental health. The strain on newcomers is just crazy. Something that you don't want to think about for sure. Before we get into what needs to change, let me just tell you about a place called Harnois Énergies. That's right. They're just opening a new truck stop, exit 230 on Highway 401 in Woodstock, Ontario. It should be open sometime in March, I think. It's going to be an awesome place. It's going to have fuel and propane fueling. It's going to have maintenance site on there. It's going to have a restaurant. It's going to have convenience stores, lots of truck parking. It's accessible right off the 401. It used to be a truck stop chain, so now they're reviving it. It's going to be an SO card lock, so you want to make sure that you get into Harnois by going to harnoisenergies.com to get your SO card for sure. All right, let's get into what needs to change to make the LMIA system better.
By far my favorite station.
You're the best. Oh, yeah.
I love you guys.
All right, so what do we got to change to make this better? Because we do need more immigrants into the country, but we want it to be safe. We want trucking to be respected. We want people to be trained properly, and we want to make sure that companies are not abusing them when they get here. So we need enforcement. If you don't have the enforcement, that's where we're lacking right now. Better government oversight. We don't have that right now. We are in serious trouble, and we're not going to be able to change much because people can report. The fines are not very much, and people are just doing what they want. We need open work permits for drivers so that you can choose the company that best fits you, not just the one that approached you first. We need shared accountability between recruiters and carriers to make sure that they're explaining. The good companies are doing that already, but there's some unscrupulous characters in the industry for sure. And then the industry needs to self-police and report. And we're self-policing it now, but we're reporting. We're not self-policing. We haven't figured out how to do that. We are having lots of conversation and discussions about it in the industry. Why is that going to be better? Well, you know what? It should be a pathway to a better life, right? Isn't that why you're coming to North America or coming to another country? So a better way of life. So if you're coming here and then you're being, you're not being dignified. You're dependent on somebody. That's not the life that you planned on. You probably were better off wherever you were. So let's make sure that everybody's got a good pathway for that. And a fair system is going to help everybody, right? Like, all companies want to hire good drivers. So does it really matter if the drivers from overseas are over here, as long as they're here legitimately and they have all their ducks in a row, shall we say? Then we just want good drivers. That's what we want in the industry. All right, my friends. Well, there you go. That's our episode about the LMIA system. I suggest you go to canada.ca if you're looking to do that. You can go also to Employment and Social Development Canada, and you can learn all about the LMIA system and what's going on there. There's lots to it, but just make sure that you're asking questions. Make sure you get your homework done by trusted sources, and don't just take the first person that comes up to you. We don't want you to be scammed coming into Canada, and you don't want to be canned. You came here for a better life, right? All right, my friends, thanks very much. Hey, feel free to go back and listen to this series. All of our for 2026, this is how we're doing our podcast. Let us know what you think. We're doing kind of a series, one topic per week, 3 different episodes. Let us know how it's working out for you. We'll talk to you later. Be safe out there. Subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you check out our new show on Lead Pedal Radio called Chords and Chrome. If you want more entertainment, music side of it, with some good trucking fun, you're going to love it there. See you later, my friends. Bye for now.
This has been another episode of the Lead Pedal Podcast. For more information or to subscribe to the podcast, visit theleadpedalpodcast.com and be sure to follow the podcast on Facebook and Twitter.